Hey, it's Mark. I'm going to look at a couple sectors tonight. I've been looking for some sector rotation to come in to certain industries, and we've seen some things kind of stall out while others have gotten some activity. So I've got a hunch there's going to be some more rotation into some different sectors here. And the thing I'm watching closely now is this BCHG, the Bitcoin Cash Trust. This one's been a leading indicator for Bitcoin at least a couple times off of some moves. So I've got this BCHG that it's at an inflection point here, and it's come back down to the support level, and it's got this triangular pattern going here. So usually this kind of triangular pattern, it's usually a bearish pattern, but it can also be bullish too. Just depends, obviously, what happens. But as far as Bitcoin goes, I haven't watched all of the major bull runs because I just started following it more closely in the past couple of years. But usually it's pretty predictable off of technicals, but you never know. So, but this is the thing to watch here is if we're actually going to get a move here in Bitcoin and crypto, it's got to. I think this one has to really break out over that $12 level in the next week or so. I mean, it could just hover around this level for a while, but I'd really expect it to make a move here in the next several days at least. It might even be sooner. It might be this week. So that's just something to keep an eye on. And the other thing I'm watching again is this TLT, the long-term Treasury bonds. this one, this one, it was holding the downtrend really well, and luckily I never put that trade on because it quickly reversed off of that resistance breakdown there, and then like I was looking at it back in here, when it was like in the 80s, and then I was short biased because that's been the trade on it, but here it's definitely flipped. So like it's pretty uncertain here. It may take a while to decide the direction here, but right now it's looking more bullish on the long-term bonds. And the long-term bonds have been a risk off trade in the past. Like I sort of I wouldn't say I called a debate, but I sort of suggested to this one quant on Twitter that because she was looking at stock industries and sectors that were the least correlated, to the S&P or the big cap stocks, and she was finding like specific sectors, that had strength in previous corrections. And but the thing is, like, when there's a serious correction, when there's like panic and the VIX is spiking, when the VIX, because like in 2022 that wasn't a panic year. 2022 sell off was just low VIX to me sell off. Because I remember back in 2008, when we had the banking panic, the VIX was like 80. I mean, like 70, 80. So it was totally different kind of sell off. And the only thing that was positive that year was long-term Treasury bonds. I know for sure TLT was, maybe even more so than the bonds themselves, because all the active equity managers would just go into TLT, and some of the best funds, the only funds that were invested in commodities, equities, bonds, whatever. The only funds that were positive were funds that could invest in 30-year bonds or treasury bonds. Maybe 10-year did okay too, I think, and or TLT, of course. So those funds were positive on the year, and there's one, I think there's at least one or two actively managed mutual funds that was positive. I think it might have been one, because I remember my uncle was in that one, because he was pretty proud of that, and like it just kind of goes that you can pick winners in mutual funds and active funds, because they had the flexibility to switch into bonds, so that was obviously saved it. But yeah, if there's ever a 2008 or 2020, COVID panic, something like that again, the only thing is U.S. bonds, for it's like flight to safety, and it doesn't have to be the case. Like, it may not be the case next time if there is another panic in the near future. But when I say that, I mean like the VIX spikes. Of course, the VIX is nowhere near that now. So to me, this is more just maybe some front running on the rates coming down. But I think, to me, in my opinion, there's gonna have to be a recession or a labor market problem for the Fed to actually do any significant rate cuts or prolonged. Maybe they do like a one-timer. I mean, you never know. They could do a one-timer or something and go back to stable rates, but who knows? But that was like a huge tangent on that. But so let's get to some of these sectors. The Bitcoin miners. I just happened to find that really good Bitcoin miner just from doing a fundamental scan. The BTBT is a really cool one, and it's actually been one of the better looking charts here. I mean, this is just a really good chart because you've got a triangle pattern here. I think a bull flag. Well, it's a bull flag and a triangle because it's got the same thing going on, but usually the triangles do. So, but you got the low sell volume relative to the buy volume on these spike days. And the volume came in pretty good today too. I mean, this one might have been the best performing or one of the better performing Bitcoin miners. I think this company does other things too. Like I want to say they do like staking, or they have another operation outside of the actual mining itself. Well, I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, this chart's looking really good. Of course, it's got to sustain this because it's coming up on some previous levels, like about $3. So about $3 is a hurdle there. But so far it's so good. So far it's looking pretty good. And I found the Hive too. This one, just because it could be an options trade, and I think it's pretty heavily shorted. It's obviously not as shorted as the other ones, but I want to say it might have been a 10% or 9% short interest on the Hive. So this one I'm watching too, maybe as just a trade. And then the Iron, I think I found this one weeks ago, and then I didn't put it on a watch list, or I was on my Twitter feed. I'm pretty sure I put it on my Twitter like a week ago. But this one's been really strong, and the fundamentals on this one are really good too. I mean, today was some really good volume came in, about 25 million shares, which is the most it's traded in a long time, since there might be a record volume. 25 million shares, 24.9. At least going back 3 years, looks like, just from skimming here. So that's kind of interesting. Maybe it'll actually get over this resistance if Bitcoin does decide to go. But we'll see. I'm not convinced yet on Bitcoin until we get the BCHG, or there's just a huge. I mean, the technicals on Bitcoin are pretty good short term. It's looking really bullish. I'm more bullish right now than I'm more inclined to be bullish on the short term technicals, but you haven't really seen a push day yet that's gonna going to be the start of a new trend up. So I'm waiting on that, but luckily these Bitcoin miners are doing some work, so we'll see about that one. And some of the other weak stuff I'm in on puts in is doing well too, like series still down. And a lot of my puts are doing pretty well. Like series been a mess still. Like looks like it just reclaimed the short side here. The shorts got back in control here, so that's good. And I added X4. X4 is a neat chart. It's got some big levels that it's held. Like it's always found support around like 70 cents since back in late 22. So almost 2 years now. It's held support at 70, or at least found it again. And then here it's got this down channel that it's breaking out of, and it's a down channel break. And the way this thing moves, once it moves, it can definitely get some momentum. So I would expect, I'm looking for this to follow through. Like I'm gonna put on some calls. I mean, hopefully we get a dip, like there's a dip back down before it goes again. But this one looks really good just on this down channel break. And those are the main things that I've been looking at, that I was looking at. I'm doing some research for my next Substack, and I looked at a bunch of companies actually. Like I just found one company at first, but then my attention got drawn to other ones because there's just a lot of value in the industry. And I think the sector rotation might be coming back into these alternative energy companies. Like there's just a lot of value in the small caps, and there's been some accumulation by some funds and even hedge funds lately. So I've been looking at those. I'll go into those here in a sec. So I was one of the other things that sort of brought me to that was looking at TAN, like at the solar ETF. Because solar stocks have just been demolished, for a long time, but it's got a base here. It's like it's been this channel for a long time. It's held this channel since last year, and it actually started to make a move up. Like we've gotten a move up here, with these other alternative energy stocks too that I've been looking at, and there's potentially, I think, a rotation going back in here, at least for a while. Just the way it's based out, it's basically bottomed out there. But we've got to hold above that channel, because last time it didn't hold, so it's not really set in stone yet. But that could be a potential rotation. And I think a lot of that has to do with the First Solar and some of these stocks have just gotten huge swing movement into like these like FSLR, and it's a play on the utility in the data centers too. I think because the First Solar does more than just solar. Like they I want to say they have like a grid, like a way to actually like use the solar panels for an industrial use. I'm not super well versed on First Solar. Like I never did a lot of research on the solar companies, but obviously there's something going on here that's more than just the sector strength. Just because the sector hasn't been as good as this stock. So the other ones like Run, a lot of these other ones are still depressed, like Run, but it could be bottoming there, but it's still too early to tell. But I've been looking at these small cap battery and alternative energy companies, like the Frey is it's got a good chart here because it looks like it bottomed out, and then it's retesting this previous level. So it's got a trend support it's coming up on, and this level, and the sell volume is pretty light, so that leads me to believe it is a bull flag. So it's kind of a fast sell off though for a flag, but my hunch is it's going to hang around at that pivot point there. Maybe it breaks out. I think it might break out. And the same with this other one. It's not really not the same as other companies, but they are sort of an alternative energy, or a how do I say it, an environmentally friendly company, because they make bottle caps that are easy to recycle, or they're the best for recycling. They make the best recyclable bottle caps, and they're just 100% recyclable. So stuff going on. I think there's some funds coming in here. Like you see, there's some big blocks in some of these days. Big blocks of shares coming through, and these are some of the ones I'm researching. So I've kind of been taking the rabbit hole and see who the funds are. There's a couple of value funds, like a hedge fund, and one of these has BlackRock too, and Vanguard. But I've been looking at I'm looking at 3 of these, and there's another one too. So, but if you want to see my report on that, subscribe to my Substack, and I'm planning on putting that out either tonight, probably tomorrow, but definitely by tomorrow I'll have a new Substack report out on these companies. Just because they're really cheap, and there's a lot of value there. Especially the ORGN, like this one, they're pretty much turning the company around here. They're probably going to be profitable soon here. But of course stocks have been beaten down, so they're just so cheap. I could be wrong, and they could continue to struggle, but I'm just kind of expecting some sector rotation here, because I was watching a video where the BlackRock CEO was talking about how batteries are important, and there's more to the energy now than just immediate output. You got to have battery, some storage, and I think there's going to be a maximization of energy that's going to need to go on to fuel the demand. I mean, there's a lot of demand coming. So those are the main ones that I was looking at, and my Pfizer came back today, and it's totally that was a bull flag, that pullback, even though it's kind of a nasty one for a while, but it looks like it's just gonna reclaim and break out again, or trend sideways, because it's a lot of shares came in the past 3 days, and my natural gas puts came back today, and oh yeah, there's USO. This is the last thing I'm gonna look at. The last one is this crude oil. So we had a little fake breakout there, because it was in this down channel, and I put on some rig puts around here, and then I got almost like I got knocked out there almost, and then but we just reversed, bearish engulfed there, and then it's been down, and we're back in the channel, back in the middle of this channel again. Actually, on CL, I think it's on the crude oil itself, it's a little lower, but yeah, we're taking out levels here too. There's 2 big levels, these 2 red lines here that have already gotten smashed. But of course, it's different on CL. But I can't pull up CL on this chart, because like my the data feed I'm using isn't doing futures. At least I don't know how to pull up. I don't think it does but you can kind of get. I'll look at a chart here and see. It's probably very similar. Yeah, if we look at the crude itself here, Yeah, it's actually a lot lower. That's what I was thinking. So let's do this 3 month chart. Yeah, we're already at the bottom. We're at the bottom of the channel again. So let's get some lines here. So yeah, it's getting close. Yeah, we're getting really close to the bottom of this channel here again. It's just different on USO because it's not actually crude oil. It's just holds the contracts. So yeah, the crude oil is probably even a little short term oversold here. I might, well, I'm in rig, so the rig's not going to do exactly what crude does. Sometimes it actually is better, like, more explosive. So, but we'll see. I'll probably take off like half the contracts tomorrow. My rig puts, because rig's looking pretty nasty too. I mean, it looks even. Of course, it's not exactly like crude oil, but just took out a level today. So yeah, some volume too. So I'm definitely gonna hold some of these contracts, these puts for a while, especially if crude stays weak here. So yeah, that's about all I want to touch on tonight's video. But definitely subscribe to my free Substack, and I haven't decided if I'm gonna do this next one as part of my paid subscribers or for the free ones. I guess I'll think about it, but yeah, check out my other articles if you like them. Subscribe and follow me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter. I'm really active. My handle is Stock Pursuit. Just like my YouTube, it's stock _pursuit. So yeah, I'll call it a wrap, and I'll catch you in the next one.